There we go. Very good. So, welcome. Agenda for today. We are going to discuss Bootstrap, the lightweight CSS framework of the past and the future. Mostly of the past. We are also going to get our first real taste of JavaScript. We are going to actually do JavaScript today, assuming the Bootstrap stuff doesn't take us too long, which it shouldn't. So, very good. How's everybody doing today? Everybody's hiding behind their monitors. There's some eyes in the room. So, Bootstrap then. So the object of this lesson is to make much of the stuff that you learned in HTML and CSS redundant, to make it no longer quite so painful. In order to do this, we are going to use Bootstrap. So what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is a CSS framework that was originally developed at the company formerly known as Twitter. It's now presumably, the presumable proprietor is now the guy who runs the now social media thing, X. Let's look at trends in CSS frameworks, shall we? You know I love showing you bar graphs, right? Bar graphs are like my favorite thing. So, you know that this is like a nice CSS designed website because look, when I scroll, look, it's responsive, the bars are actually adjusting to the width of the screen. It's nice, it's nice. So, although the sample size for this is not altogether huge, it's, maybe all, soaking wet about 5,000 respondents, still, it's not, that's by no means a small number. I think the Stack Overflow developer survey is like 20 to 30,000 respondents, something like that. So this is by no means a small sample, especially given that this is kind of a niche thing, right? So, Bootstrap, but Tailwind is currently the top dog with respect to CSS frameworks. Both Tailwind and Bootstrap operate in the same way. They have the same mechanisms. Many of the things we learn which are applicable to Bootstrap are also applicable to Tailwind. So, it's kind of one of these, if you learn one framework, it's easy to jump to a new one, right? But here's something interesting. Let's look a little bit historically here. Let's take a look at 2024. Libraries and other tools. You can see that in 2024, although Tailwind does still have an advantage over Bootstrap, it's not quite so stark a contrast. The ratio is more in favor of Bootstrap than it is in 2025, indicating growth in Tailwind and shrinkage in Bootstrap. If we look historically, shall we say, there we go, nice, good historical data. It's not the same graph I usually look at. Where's my graph gone? Retention, awareness, usage. Usage is what I want. There we go. So, this top line is bootstrapped. You can see that in the period between 2019 and 2023, we have marginal decline in Bootstrap, but still it's kind of the unassailable champion. However, this green guy coming up here, that's Tailwind. So you can see it's one of the least popular in 2019, but by 2023 it's occupying about 50%. So let me ask you a question. Did something happen with the company formerly known as Twitter a couple of years ago? Was there an event? Yes?
Elon Musk bought it?
Yes, and does that perhaps mean that people are beginning to divest themselves of software packages developed at said software house? I have it in data, right? I don't have to suppose. I have it right there in black and white. Although, of course, this doesn't tell you the cause, but, you know, normally when you have a rapid fall off of popularity of something, there's usually a reason for that, you know. But yeah, so, basically I'm currently in the process of rewriting this course, and actually, the lightweight CSS framework material is actually going to be pushed into HTML and CSS in future semesters, where it belongs, in my opinion. And that's how the program is changing. I'd like to see it be Tailwind that they cover there, but it's kind of no longer my circus and no longer my monkeys, as they say. These are the sorts of slides I bring up. These are the sorts of things I bring up during like program of study meetings and stuff. But, it's like, hey guys, this is the one we should be teaching. It's like, oh, but well, I don't wanna. It's like, no, we should. Come on, come on. That's basically me at the meetings. Come on, guys, come on. That's me. Anyway. So, we've already talked about responsive design. Responsive design means one website for both desktop and phones. So, there are two ways of acquiring Bootstrap. You can use it for free. You do not have to pay for it. There are two ways of acquiring Bootstrap and incorporating it into your page. The first is the traditional way, which is to install it on your server and have your server serve the file. Bootstrap is a CSS file and a JavaScript file that work together to provide a series of classes which you can use in HTML components. Using Bootstrap, it is possible to design a pretty well executed website without using any CSS whatsoever, actually. And this is the intention. Design a website, don't write any CSS. Use Bootstrap for your CSS instead. Doesn't that already sound appealing, right? Isn't CSS kind of a pain? I always find it to be a bit of a pain. But then again, as you'll find out if you take server side with me, like my heart really, really is like as close to the CPU as possible. I'm really not, you know, I don't really enjoy designing software for smelly humans, you know, like, oh my goodness. Software for software, that's my business, man. And yet, here I am. So, you can install it on your server. This is kind of the traditional way of doing things. However, from our perspective in the software development stream, you know, this is, you know, installing things on servers falls into the bucket of server administration. It is certainly useful to know how to do server administration, but it's something we teach in the networking stream, right? It's useful to be able to import Bootstrap without needing to install things on the server. For one thing, if you're renting server space, depending on what kind of server you're renting from, might not even be possible, right? You might not have a sufficient level of access or privilege to the server to even get the thing installed. So, what is often used is a content delivery network. So, what is a content delivery network? Anybody? Crickets. That's right, it's a network that delivers content. Ah, that was actually a joke. So, I want you to imagine, if you will, a series of servers placed at strategic locations across the globe that you query for the Bootstrap files, and they are loaded dynamically from the network when they are called for. Does this make sense? So, here are some differences, right, between doing things locally and doing things over the content delivery network. Right now I'm playing a fun game. It's called I Stop Talking and See How Long It Takes People to Look at Me. Off your phones, please. This is a class.
My dad does that with my sister every time.
Yeah? Yeah, it's a famous dad trick.
Dinner time.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't, just so you know, I'm like a level 28 or 29 dad, so, you know, I've got all the dad tricks.
I am not familiar with dad leveling.
Well, once are you a father?
No.
No, when you become a father, they hand you a book that includes the leveling system and all of the charts.
Get you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very important for you to be able to track your dad stats. So, there's gonna be a test! This type of stuff's gonna be on the test! It's worth it to pay attention. So, some of the differences between acquiring your files from your own server and from the content delivery network. Anybody got any ideas? What's the difference between having things on your server and having them on a content delivery network? Yes, I'm asking you to think about it. You know, in the same way that I might ask you to think about it if this were a test question. Which it has been in the past. Yes?
Local or hosted, like it's on your is local.
Could you speak up a little, please?
It's on your computer, it's local, and if it's on a server, it's hosted.
Yes, true. But what impact does that have for the end user? Yes?
I believe it really depends how it reacts for the end user. For the end user, if it's on like a cloud-based service, then it might get to them faster or something.
Well, that is true. So you have one server. The content delivery network is larger, right? So yes, in theory, the content delivery network, its nearest network node is probably nearer than your server to your end user. So yes, this content would be served faster. So that's a plus for the content delivery network. Yes.
I'd say also at the same time, if it's hosted on your server specifically, you have more of a guarantee that it won't go down because you yourself can make maintenance and keep up check. But I feel like if it's not on your own server, it also all depends on you if it shuts down. You are responsible for that and you have to make sure that it's kept up properly.
Yes. So that also sounds like a plus for the content delivery network, right? If it's on your own server, you are responsible for the maintenance of that library. Very good. So what about a negative? Can anybody think of a negative to having it on the content delivery network? Outages, yes. We've had a few like fairly big outages fairly recently, haven't we?
Cloudflare outages and 365 outages.
Yes.
Also the Amazon Web Service outage.
Yes. Last semester there was a period of like I think 2 or 3 weeks where we had major outages from like 3 of the 4 major vendors. Just out of curiosity, does anybody remember which of those 4 didn't have the outage? Like there are 3 big guys, and then Cloudflare is kind of smaller on the side, right? Does anybody who know who the 3 big cloud vendors are?
Amazon, Cloudflare, Google.
Amazon, Azure, and Google.
Azure.
Yes. Which of those, if you add Cloudflare in there, of those 4, 3 had outages. Which one didn't?
I'm going to guess one of them was Amazon.
Yes, but Amazon had an outage, had a fairly big one. Which is the one that didn't?
Azure.
Oh, Azure is Microsoft 360, right?
Oh, so Cloudflare also had an outage.
You're right. So there's only one remaining.
Google.
But it can't be Google because Google had a huge outage too, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they
Yes,
did.
it did.
Recently?
It was like right near when one of their AI models dropped too.
Oh,
The
interesting.
entire thing was just down.
Yeah, that was like last semester.
Was that them too? Oh well, there you go. I didn't hear about that one. All right. Well, that's all 4 hit then. Hooray!
Yeah, no one said.
Speaking of AI, sir, did you hear OpenAI is likely going to be in bankruptcy by 2027?
I mean, sure. The AI market is very, very strange. From its inception, it's been burning money. Like literally, like it's like burning money is like even like it takes time to burn money. You know, it's more like it's been vaporizing money with extreme hype energy particle beams or something.
Instantly obliterating cash.
Exactly.
Now you can run app rolls on ChatGPT.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, even that's like, you know, there's no way they're gonna make money on ChatGPT. It takes too much energy.
The only company I could ever see actually making money off of AI in the long term is Google, because Google has that kind of money to pour into that project.
I don't know, man. Like they even like you gotta have pretty deep pockets, you know. So there are a couple. There is like, you know, without sounding too conspiratorial. The American national security apparatus is fairly heavily invested in artificial intelligence, and for that reason alone, it will probably continue to exist. Right? The thing you have to understand is like pretty much everybody who's predicting doom in the next month is wrong, right? It takes longer for things to unwind than that. That being said, the stock market crash could happen at any time. Yeah. But like, I don't necessarily think that like just because the stock market crash happens that means that AI goes away. Yeah.
It's really just the saying, let's build the torment nexus from the hit book, don't build the torment nexus.
Yes. Oh yeah. No. Like, see, it's interesting, right? Because it's like you can't say we weren't warned. Because we have like a history of like 100 years of science fiction telling us not to do this. We did it anyway, you know. know, it's like, good grief. Human beings. They're funny creatures. Like, human beings, like, really desperately want to replace themselves. It's very strange, you know? You'd think that we'd have a better self-preservation mechanism than that, but so it goes. But yeah, no, the stock market bubble is obviously a bubble, you know. You gotta be careful with stock market bubbles when even places like Forbes are calling things stock market bubbles, right? When will it pop? Who knows? When it does, like, you know, basically every boomer needs to say goodbye to their pension, you know. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's anyway. That's kind of a side topic. So one of the negative things about content delivery networks is that you don't control the network. The network can occasionally fall, and that's, you know, that's a bad thing. You have to ask yourself, who's got the better uptime? The guy I'm renting the server from, or like Microsoft Azure, or whoever. So, all right. If everybody could please open a code editor, we're going to do some coding. When it comes to Bootstrap, it's kind of like barely coding, but it's still coding, you know? Of course, I'm also the curmudgeonly type who would say, you know, you don't really code HTML because it's not a proper programming language, you know. What you're doing is you're writing a document with tags, you know. It's not the same thing as actually programming. Basically, you're not programming unless there's some possibility of you destroying your machine in the process. Even temporarily, you know. So let's make a little HTML, just a little, drop it in, you know. I'm going to skip some of the usual niceties. See here. There we go. So, using the content delivery network, is as simple as including a few lines in your HTML source code. One important note about Bootstrap: the version we are using is version 5. There are previous versions which exist. 5 is the most recent one. If you Google, how do I do X in Bootstrap, much of the time the link that you are given will be to a previous version of Bootstrap. You have to be careful to make sure that the link is talking about the right version, right? The best resource for this is W3 Schools. Don't use the AI, because the AI might also be giving you information from previous previous versions, but in the AI's case, you can't even check its sources to see if it's giving you information from a previous version, right? It might just be a previous version. It might just not work, right? Bootstrap. Getbootstrap.com. If you copy to the clipboard this and that, paste them into your file. This is an example where copying and pasting from the internet is encouraged. There you go. We now have Bootstrap enabled. I'm just going to comment those out for the time being so that I can show you something. Let's give this page a little bit of content. That's a joke. Yes? Ta-da! Just, something. So let's see what this website looks like when we view it. You probably already know it's going to look pretty default. Boink! There we go. Some default HTML for you. Shall we enable Bootstrap? All right. Here we go, folks. Drum roll, please. Everybody make sure you're watching the screen. Watch the screen right now.
I can barely see anything on the side, so it's getting cramped.
This one. Watch this. Okay, everybody looking here? All right, 3, 2, 1. You see the change?
It just changed fonts, that's it.
Well, it not only changed fonts, it also changed margin, or padding, or whichever one of those that is.
That too.
The point is that Bootstrap is overriding browser defaults, right? And that without doing anything else, right? We haven't actually used Bootstrap, but even just importing it has an effect on the page. Make sense? For one thing, we've gone from a serif to a non-serif font. You guys know what serif means in fonts? This is something you should probably know. I mean, this is probably something you should know by the time you're finished having a class with me, even if you didn't know it before. Yes?
Serif is the little things on the edges, right?
That's right.
Decorations.
Yeah, it's a little bit decorative. The script is a little bit more decorative. So, for example, somebody name for me a letter of the alphabet.
A.
A, very good. So, if you have a serif font, it will look like this. Possibly with a little, tick on the other side here. Maybe not, though. Oh, no, they put one at the top here, don't they? There you go. Serifs. These are the serifs. A non-serif font looks like this. Right? I have seen studies which claim that serif fonts can be read faster than sans serif fonts. I've also seen studies that claim the opposite thing. So it's mostly a, it's mostly what you want it to feel like, right? If you have a sans serif font, then it kind of reads as like modern and clean, right? If you have a sans serif font, it reads as like traditional and probably more true, right? Older, right? But anyway, so, all right. So the way that Bootstrap works is by including classes in your HTML file. We can achieve quite a bit of styling without ever having to import a CSS file. So, a lot of this requires the addition of divs. All right? So, let's add a couple of divs to make this page responsive, shall we? I am going to encapsulate both the heading in a div, div, there we go. Am I the only one that thinks that like H1 is just like kind of too big for a title? Yeah. It's like really big, you know? Like I usually default to H2 or even smaller than that. Personal preference. There we go. So, there are two fundamental Bootstrap classes, container and container fluid.
Which Bootstrap links do we get? Because I can't really find them on the page I'm on.
So the website is getbootstrap.com.
Oh, this.
Then include via CDN. They're right here and there. Sound good?
I'm trying to find it. Oh, there it is.
Awesome.
So it's just those two links we put in.
So, okay, all right. I know I said no like proper CSS, but it's very, very useful to put a border around the divs while you're playing with layout to see where the divs are, so I'm going to do that. Style. Div. Border, 2 pixels, dashed, and gray. There we go. So, all right. So you can see, first of all, putting these things inside of a div has, worked. They're inside divs. We have some padding as well. Here's an interesting thing though. Ooh. This div is now small and centered, smaller at least, than that one. This is the effect. This is a container, this is a container fluid. Watch this. You'll notice that around the 576 mark, we have a breakpoint. The div, the container, regular container div, goes from being a centered thing with margins to occupying the full width. Now, I ask you, how much work would that have been in default CSS? Right? you would need to have like pulled in the media tag, and you'd have to decide where the breakpoint is, you'd have to decide what the characteristics were on both sides of that breakpoint. Here all I've done is I have decided that it should be a container, and so it is. Make sense? Hopefully you find that to be significantly easier than before. So, any questions? Doing this already makes your website more responsive. So the difference between container and container fluid locks your. It's basically almost a synonym for width 100%, right? It always occupies the full width that it's given. So if you want the kind of breakpoint snapping, you need to use container and not container fluid. However, this is appropriate in some circumstances, such as headers. Right? Make sense? Any questions? All right. Moving swiftly on. Let me ask you another question. You guys remember CSS Flexbox? You guys remember Grid? What if I told you that Bootstrap does both at the same time and is nicer about it? You'd say, it can't be done! Say it ain't so! Oh. Alright. So in Bootstrap, this is how it works. You've got 12 columns, always 12. Anybody know why 12? Anybody care to guess? What's particular about the number 12? It's a dozen, yeah, but why 12? Actually, this is a great This is a great question about numbers. Like, why is the number 12 so popular? For like, think about it. You go into the grocery store and get eggs. How many eggs are there in a carton? Why? Anybody? Why are there 12 eggs in a carton? Unless you get, like, such as me, you get the family pack and then there are 18. But 18 is still a multiple of 6. So, why 12 though? What's special about the number 12? Divisibility, right? If you have 12, it's 2 times 6, it's 3 times 4, it's also 4 times 3, right? 6 times 2. You can divide it evenly by the first 4 numbers in the number series, right? 1 is not particularly special in this regard, right? But, yeah, it's divisibility. You can divide it into groups evenly for a large number of groups for a number so small, right? So, that's why 12. Because if you have 6 people eating 12 eggs, everybody gets 2 eggs, right? So, the Bootstrap grid system has 12 slots. when you use the Bootstrap grid system, you make a div for a row, then within that row, you make divs for each column, and the columns occupy a certain number of these slots. You can determine how many slots something takes up. If you haven't, it will divide these as evenly as it can. One of the nice things about the CSS grid system is that if stuff doesn't fit, it will attempt to automatically stack things vertically rather than squish them down really, really narrow to the point where it looks ugly. So, let's make a div for a row. The class to create a row is row. That's right. Nothing special. If I was writing a slide on this, the title of the slide would be "Have Some Class." I try to put a pun in every title on every slide. I don't always get there though, you know how it is. So within a row, we have columns. So, somebody name a fruit.
Apple.
Apple is always the first one I get.
Pear.
Pear, that's a good one. Pears are more nutritious than apples. I know this from, I was told this by a kid whose parents farm apples. So you'd think he'd be like partisan for apples, but he wasn't. I need more fruit.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. I don't even know why they call it apple. It doesn't resemble apples at all.
So last time it was video games, this week it's fruit.
Yes. I need more fruit.
Next week.
Banana. Objectively the worst fruit. I need another fruit. Strawberry. Excellent fruit, the strawberry. Did you know that it's actually a pseudo fruit? Yeah. So, botanically speaking, the thing that you think of as the strawberry is not actually the fruit of the strawberry plant. You know the seeds on the outside of the strawberry?
Is that the fruit?
Those are technically the fruit, yes. Because if you take a look, it's a seed inside of a very thin kind of membrane, and that constitutes the fruit. The actual flesh of the strawberry, as we think of it, is actually an engorged stem. Kind of similar to how cashews grow, actually. All right. Next, fruit. Fruit with fun fruit facts. What do you got for me? Give me a fruit.
Durian.
Durian. I don't have...
No, that right there is subjectively the worst fruit.
Okay, that's fair. All I know about durians is that they were soccer balls in Super Mario Sunshine.
True.
Next.
Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. My kids love dragon fruit.
What's it even taste like?
It's like fruit. I don't know. You can kind of cut them in half and eat them with a spoon like they're like a kiwi.
Like a
Why does
grapefruit.
it just taste like water, honestly?
Yeah,
With a hint of sweetness.
yeah, they're like
Well,
you'd think with the
it's not
exterior
that
that the flesh would be a little flashier, but no, All right, next. Mango. Apparently there's a very large number of varieties of mango, like over 30,000 different types of mango or something. Next.
Orange.
Orange. I don't have anything interesting to say about oranges. They're citrus fruit. Next.
Lemon.
Lemon. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. Next.
Lime.
Lime. Wow, we're hitting all the citrus. All right, and I got one for you. cucumber. Ha! Did you know that one was a fruit?
No, actually.
The botanical definition of a fruit is something that contains seeds. So long as it contains seeds, it's a fruit. Although we usually categorize them by sweetness. Yes?
Yeah, it's like a tomato. From a culinary standpoint, it's a vegetable, but from a biological standpoint, it's a fruit.
Yes, exactly. So the question that you're asking yourself is not, is it fruit or is it a vegetable? You're asking, what is your primary framework for determining categories? Is it science or is it tradition? Right? Scientifically, it's a fruit. Traditionally, it's a vegetable. At least according to culinary tradition. So, very good. This is a fine list of fruit. Other members of the fruit family include unusual ones. Pumpkins are fruit. Any kind of gourd is a fruit. Anything that contains seeds. Yes?
You know what, tomatoes are listed because I have an interesting fact about tomatoes.
Okay, tell me your interesting fact about tomatoes.
Earlier in human history, people thought that tomatoes were poisonous because they used lead plates, and the acid in tomatoes sucked the lead out of the plates, and it gave whoever ate it lead poisoning.
That's fascinating. I know that, like, at one point, like, when tomatoes were first imported into Europe, it's like, oh, this is a great fruit. I wonder what the leaves taste like. And then, like, somebody nearly killed themselves because, like, tomato leaves are poisonous, right? Yeah, cool. Okie dokie. So, let's see what this looks like. Interesting. How many rows did I ask for? I asked you, how many rows?
2?
No, I only asked for 1. It's given me 2. Let's see if I can coerce it into doing what I want. Oh, now look at that. I've actually got it at, like, quite a bit of zoom for the benefit of, like, people at the back, right? If I zoom back out again, you can see we do actually get everything on 1 row. If I zoom out further, you can see that when the content of the div is not too big for the div, all of these are of even spacing, right? If I zoom in, you can see as soon as I start running out of space, it pops it to the next line. That's easy, right? That's convenient. That doesn't look bad, right?
So I have a
Yes?
why my HDR doesn't go high?
You're having trouble with it?
So I put my this one, but why is not?
Show me your source. You're not importing all of the bootstrap. You've only got one of the 2 of them.
Okay.
So, okay. So you can see that, like, this thing does a nav bar reasonably well and easily, right? Obvious thing to throw that into is a nav bar, right? Oh man, I need to introduce assignment 1. Did I introduce assignment 1 with this section? No? Okay, we're gonna do that next. So, let me throw another row in. Let me show you how this makes like a columned page layout as well, very easily. I'm just getting some text. There you go. Some text. So, there we go. So you can see, by sticking these pieces of text inside of the two divs, we make an evenly spaced two-column format very simply, very quickly, very easily. Now, the thing about it is that at narrow widths like this, you'll notice this is kind of difficult to read. This probably shouldn't be a two-column format, right? If I pull this even smaller, pop, you'll notice we swap to a stacked layout rather than a two-column layout. However, depending on what's on the page, you may want to hit that breakpoint a little earlier, right? Let me show you how to do that. When you want to adjust the breakpoint at which something occurs, Bootstrap provides a series of suffixes which you can add to classes to perform that. So, for example, if I want the medium breakpoint, there's tables you can look up for these. It's like extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, you know. You can see that medium breakpoint swaps you to a stacked layout about there, which for text of this sort is probably pretty good, right? Make sense? Any questions? Okay, so all right. Now let's assume we wanted to have an asymmetrical column layout. Perhaps you want a sidebar or something like that. You can also include numbers. But I always forget where to put them. Medium 8. There we go. So, by adding -8, I've said this pane should occupy 8 of the 12 possible Bootstrap grid columns. Therefore, I get, because 8 is 2/3 of 12, I get a 1/3, 2/3 layout in 2 characters, which is pretty good. That's a lot of semantic weight on 2 characters, right? So far, so good? Any questions? All right. Really? No questions at all? Any questions about fruit? No. We have already talked about fruit enough. So, yeah, I guess the acid would leach the lead, wouldn't it? Yeah. So, the only place lead belongs is shielding nuclear reactors.
Yeah.
So, all right, are you sufficiently impressed? Right? Use this. This is much easier than CSS, right? Yeah? Bootstrap also has I'm only showing you a taste of it, right? It has a large number of classes for other things, like even things like setting padding and margins, right? You can do that with a lot fewer characters in Bootstrap. The one thing that detracts from Bootstrap, because you're doing all of this in the HTML, right? You don't have the ability to write global rules that apply a particular type of bootstrap formatting to everything in the page, right? We've kind of brought things more into like the particular realm of the HTML itself. We're not writing like, you know, CSS selectors or stuff like that. That being said, bootstrap classes can be applied from JavaScript. So in JavaScript you can do that. We're going to learn JavaScript at some point. Make sense? Any questions? All right. Good. So, all right. I want to show you tables. How many people in here right now think unstyled HTML tables look like garbage? Yeah?
Pretty bad.
They're pretty bad, right? You want to see how to make them better? All right. So, let's throw a table in at the top. Fed and fed. So, you know how we were talking about the semantic use of HTML? Well, it turns out that you actually do have to like use the proper tags in a table, or else Bootstrap won't know what it's looking at and won't style it correctly, right? All right. Oh, I gotta put that in the table row, don't I? All right. Someone give me a movie.
Harry Potter.
Sure.
What did he say?
Harry Potter.
Oh, I misheard that horribly.
That's I think technically a series of movies, but that's okay. Genre.
Action.
Action fantasy. Maybe. I don't know, it's kind of strange, like, definitely fantasy, but somehow doesn't quite feel like fantasy, Harry Potter stuff. Anyway, how would you rate Harry Potter?
It's alright.
It's alright. There we go.
It's alright.
Yeah.
I was more Percy Jackson than Harry Potter.
Yeah. See, it's interesting, right? Like, I was in the target demographic when the books first came out, which you should be able to use to date me archaeologically, but, yeah.
Insidious?
Insidious. I don't know what that is. What genre is it?
A horror?
Horror. Okay. And, rating?
I think it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good, okay.
Let's do one more.
Yeah. Alright. You sir back there, you had your hand up.
Oh, Matrix.
Matrix. The Matrix. And then we'll do you two. The Matrix. We'll call this action sci-fi philosophy, I guess. Rating? irreparable damage to the culture.
The system. What does the Matrix do?
What is it?
You have no idea how many people think they're in a simulation now.
Oh, the.
Like,
Well, those people
it's
are pretty dumb.
actually
Don't
kind
watch
of
the movie.
insane.
It's way more than you think, especially. You could probably be talking to someone in this room and they might believe that.
I mean, I would say that it's like of the younger generation. Like I've asked classes before, and like I'm gonna get biased results now because I've made my particular position on it clear, right? But I've asked classes in a less biased way in the past, and it's like somewhere I'd say like 20% of people, young people, think that they're in a simulation, and it's like this is incredible to me actually, because it's like how do you believe anything if you believe you're in a simulation? You know, it's like if you don't believe if you don't believe you exist in primary reality, then like what's the point of anything? You know?
I think that's like the entire philosophy. The point is that nothing counts is a form of nihilism.
Yeah, an extremely popular form of nihilism. You know?
It was
I
a
think it's
mistake.
just the easiest way to describe a way doing bad things to other people.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's also like it's kind of weird because it's like it's a form of nihilism, but it's also kind of like reconstructing religious themes. You know? Because like if it's all a simulation, that implies the existence of a creator, right? But like not, you know, not anyway. This is a digression. All right, but I do think that is the rating for The Matrix.
I thought it got mathematically proven that we don't live in a simulation. I'm not sure why.
I mean, yeah, you don't even need to prove it mathematically, you know. I can just say like, you know, Occam's razor. That's a good one for Occam's razor. It's like it's an extraordinary claim to claim that reality is a simulation. So you should have some kind of proof, you know, and there is none. So probably not the case then, right? All right, you had a movie.
Let's go with Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Genre, action.
Action child.
Action child.
Yeah, it's a child movie, right?
It's more
Rating?
mature than the other movies.
Oh yeah, okay. Action mature child.
She got rated PG-13 from what I remember.
Oh, what PG-13 rating on a Sonic movie?
You'd be surprised how dark these things can get.
All right.
Rating?
Especially with Shadow involved.
Oh man.
Definitely 12-year-old, let's just say that. Anyways,
Wow, it contains death.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Child death, to be specific.
All right.
Yes,
Mature
thank
and so action child death.
Child death! To be
Yes.
fair, it wouldn't be the first time someone
Yeah.
was joking about Maria dying.
All right. So
Rating?
rating
Masterpiece, I love this movie so much.
Yes.
high praise.
High
All right.
praise, indeed.
All right. So we've talked about movies long enough. There you go. That is a stinky table. Man, is that a stinky table. That is a bad table. You want to see it? You know, let's freshen it up. Let's give this table a bath.
What are you rid of the Matrix?
No, I mean, it's stinky and I want to make it stink less by giving it a bath. Class equals table. Oh. Ooh, isn't that much nicer? Come on, that's immediately much nicer,
Yes.
right? You got other classes too. Table dash striped. Ooh, now it's got stripes. Not bad. Table dash danger. Oh, what does danger do? it puts it in danger color. So Bootstrap has a color system. I don't know about you, but like fiddling with RGB values is kind of a pain. Wouldn't you love a set of like predefined colors that work? Basically, I feel like I'm giving a sales pitch for Bootstrap here.
Kinda are.
Yeah. Here you go. Basically, the colors come pre-configured to be like reasonably readable. You have default, primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info, light, and everybody's favorite, dark theme. So yeah, it's possible actually to make the whole page dark theme by configuring one thing at the top as well. Sound good? You can even do things in Bootstrap that are kind of like a little more action-y. For example, table-hover. Where is it here? Here it is. And you can see where you get a hover effect. Very nice.
How'd you get all that without using a style?
Right? Well, I mean, all of the stuff is written in styles. It's just I'm importing classes, right? So it's possible that like you haven't needed to import multiple classes,
okay.
right? The way that you import multiple classes is by separating them with spaces, right? Now, word of warning, it must be styled as a table before anything else. If you remove that, it goes back to being just a regular default stinky HTML table. So that's the thing to understand about, that's one thing to understand about Bootstrap classes. They stack, right? It is not necessarily recommended that you write a whole bunch of your own CSS classes to interact with this, because you might run into some like strange interactions between your CSS and Bootstrap. So if you've committed to using this or any other framework to style your page, try to find a way of doing the styling you want in that system before you start introducing your own CSS to override it, right? You'll have, and it's just like general advice, you'll have an easier time of it, fewer negative interactions, right? Make sense? Question?
So what, did you do a similar thing with the fruits column
How do you mean?
then? With like the formatting of it? Because it's a little bit
Yeah, I mean, I can show you. I can show it to you again. There are the fruit. Note, every div has class column. Every class, and that's all in a div called class row. And that's all you need, really. Any questions? Yes.
Professor, in the movie section, the table, I didn't really get what did you do for the style. Like I got the point that it is like Bootstrap is stacking, but how did you style it? Like, did you copy it from Bootstrap? Is that what you did?
No, I just remember the class names. I've taught this class a few times, right?
Okay. All right. So I don't have to memorize it, right?
No, no. I mean, if you were working with this for a living, you would probably have these memorized eventually. But no, you get to look at documentation to see what different styling options are available and pick the ones you want.
And basically, you're just doing all the styling in one class.
I'm doing all of the styling by including classes which have already been defined by Bootstrap. So that's all the work I need to do as the designer, and I get the very nice table, right? Bootstrap's done all of the work of making the table look like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why this is like much quicker and easier than doing your own manual CSS. Yes?
Does it work like this in Tailwind as well, or is that like?
So, I've not used Tailwind, but somebody has, like, people have shown me source code including Tailwind. It works the same way. You just, all that's different about it is it uses slightly different names here, and it ends up looking a bit different, I would imagine.
So we're just importing basically a CSS that someone else did, and we're
Yeah.
using all the classes that we work on.
Yeah.
Pretty much, okay.
Yeah, there's a reason that I spent most of this lesson talking about fruit and movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's really not a whole lot to do here, and it's pretty easy, right? Hopefully this isn't too conceptually, this isn't too much conceptually. It is important to know how it works though, because like this is also the way that other lightweight, so this is considered a lightweight CSS framework, right? It's not React. React is a heavyweight framework and it also does some JavaScript automation, right? This is not how React works. This is how, this is a CSS framework only. React is more whole package, if that makes sense. Any questions? Any further questions? All right. Well, it's about the middle of the class, so why don't we have our 15-minute break? Yes, you want me to take a look at CS Unix?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom first, then I'll be back. Okay? Yeah.
I was actually gonna ask about regarding submitting the assignment one. So it's just like.
Well, if this is a general question, then perhaps it's, you need to get logged in, but if there are general questions, yeah. I'm gonna be talking about assignment 1 immediately after the break, so I'll probably answer your question there.
Java assignment one, not.
Oh, Java assignment 1. Yeah, okay, that's a different
That's
one.
just ask about was it just like submitting the Java file? That's it, like on
Yep.
the canvas, or do you
Yep.
want to use CSS for that?
There's no, so, there we go. So, let's talk about assignment 1, shall we? Assignment 1, assignment 1. So, assignment 1, make a website. All right? It is intended to be some review of HTML, CSS from last semester. There is an element of bootstrap styling that you need to do. That's going to be marked for. There is also a CSS animation that you must do as part of the assignment. There is also, you need to write some content, right? And I'll be deducting marks according to how well it sniffs of AI. Yeah.
Is it like any kind of animation, or is it has to be like a specific kind?
There is a very specific sort of animation that is required, as is specified in the document I'm about to go through. So, this is an extremely verbose assignment document, but we'll go through it. So, requirements. You will submit 3 files: index.html, page 2, and assign1.css. there will be a header, navbar, main, footer elements on each HTML page you create. You may subdivide these further if you wish. So the header, navbar, and footer should be the same on the index page and page 2, except where noted. All CSS must be contained within your assignment1.css file. No inline CSS or style block is permitted. Your CSS and HTML must validate according to current standards. That is, you have to run it through the validator. Everybody did that in HTML and CSS, right? Yeah? Good, 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 good. Anybody? No? Because I need to show you how to do that if you don't know how to do that.
Validator?
Yeah.
I know to do it.
Good. All right. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Professor,
Yeah.
can you please show us?
It's pretty
It's
easy.
a website basically.
Yeah.
Search up HTML.
W3 schools,
yeah.
HTML validator. This guy. There you go. Run it through this. Right. Update by file upload, or validate by file upload. And then there's one for CSS as well. Same thing, there you go. But this is for CSS. Sound good? Where are we here? There you are. Okay. You shall not use the break tag unless you're doing poetry. Each page of the website must contain at least one image. Each page of the website must contain a responsive design using the Bootstrap CSS library, targeting at least two views. Only Bootstrap 5 may be used. I will be grading your Bootstrap according to how much effort you put into your Bootstrap. If all you do is wrap your entire web page in one container, your grade will reflect that. All right? In this one, I'm grading for effort. Requirements for the navbar should have links to the index page and page 2. The link of the current page we are on must be disabled but visible. So if you're on the page, you gray out the link, right? The links are anchor tags, but they must be styled to look like buttons. But they're not actually buttons, they're anchor tags. Which means, go look up how to do that in Bootstrap. Okay? Sound good? So the navbar must contain an original CSS animation that activates on hover or focus of the links. Should be small, but present, right? This is the type of animation that, like, it's doing its job if you almost don't notice it's there. It's just a little focus thing, right? Did I miss the header? Ah, there we go. Header must contain the title and your name and student number. Plus, this is the main body of the CSS animation that you need to do. An original CSS animation that lasts at least 20 seconds, or preferably repeats infinitely. The animation must modify at least 3 different CSS properties. It can be used for decorative instead of a functional purpose. Well, I mean, it's going to almost always be decorative, actually. So, needs to be at least 20 seconds. Needs to modify 3 properties, right? And it needs to also not break the page, okay? There are a couple of ways of doing it that end up breaking the page. So, I have occasionally seen things like this. You have the title of the page, right? And the size of the title is like expanding and contracting, like so, right? Right? If you don't isolate that inside of its own div, right, then you're actually like forcing the body of the content to like you're forcing the whole page to oscillate between these two positions, right? Which means that when I'm trying to read your page, I'm trying to read text that's doing this. All right? Don't make the professor seasick. Okay? That's one of the requirements for the assignment. Don't give this professor a migraine and don't make the professor seasick. Okay? To read text, the text shouldn't move unless I tell it to. All right? Among the other cardinal sins of web design, I don't want to see any horizontal scroll bars. I'm going to be testing your submissions to see how they look at desktop and all the way down onto fairly narrow phone gauges. Your website should look good down to around a width of 320 pixels, right? If it doesn't, then you haven't done your responsive design correctly, right? So yeah, make sense? Okay. Yeah. So don't make me sick. Don't that other one. Don't let me see a horizontal scroll bar. And also, don't make your animation such that an epileptic person would have a seizure if they looked at it. All right? Yes.
How many assignments are we going to do this class?
There are going to be 5 assignments in this class. So, I'm not epileptic, that I'm aware of. Don't create an epilepsy website because that's not very accessible. It's an accessibility thing, I guess. I guess I would want that as an accessibility thing. Okay, sound good? All right. So, main. Okay. So, this is what you actually need to put in the body. You must write some stuff. All right? I'm kind of looking for something in the 300 to 500 words range on both of the pages, ish, you know. There's no like hard word count, but I'm gonna require the page to look like it's been filled out. Oh, and if you think you can get away with writing a lot less by making the font big, like, you know, I learned that one in grade school too. Doesn't work, all right? So, like I'm gonna do a word count on how many words you've written, and if it's not enough words, I'm gonna take marks off. So, you must write on one of the 5 topics, all right? Number 1, a reflection on your goals in coming to college on the index page, and an analysis of what skills you have developed in your first semester on page 2. A brief description or overview of an interest or hobby on the index page, and a specific example of your involvement with that interest or hobby on the second. An original short story. Oh, any creative writing types in the room? I have a creative writing prompt for you. An original short story about your character going on a field trip to a Hamilton area museum on the index page, and what happens when one exhibit suddenly comes to life on the second. Present a poem on the first, and an article about your interpretation of the poem on the second. The poem may be copied from the internet, but the write-up on the poem may not. Okay? If you think that's the low-effort one, you're wrong. Analyzing poetry is difficult. A faux landing page for a blog introducing yourself on the index page, and a faux blog entry about what you hope to do for a living after college on page 2. So, honestly, if you want the low effort one to get this assignment done as quickly as possible, pick the hobby. You all have one, I'm sure, and you'll find it much easier to write about something you're interested in than trying to make up things about what you want to do after college that you haven't even thought about. Alright? In order to make the assignment easier for you, do, like, you know, in writing they say write what you know, so presumably you know your interests and hobbies, so write about it, okay? But I am looking for actual, like, printed text here. I need some meat. I need some chunky stuff here, right? Like in the past, I've had grumbles with who've they say, oh, my interest is movies, and then their page 2 is just like a bunch of movie posters, and it's like, no, you gotta write something. If you're gonna do a gallery for page 2, at least give me enough on page 1 that if you split it, it would still be fine, Make sense? All right? Sound good? All right. Don't use the chat bot to generate your assignment for you. I will know. I know these things. I can tell. So don't do it. I'm not an idiot, despite all appearances. The footer has to have a copyright notice. Yeah. Submission to CS Unix. So, submission to CS Unix requires submitting it to a particular folder. Instructions are given here, but I will go over it for clarity and perhaps also brevity. So, I believe what they have you do in HTML and CSS is kind of like, they have you do a landing page and you link to a bunch of subfolders. We're not doing that here. I don't care about your landing page from last semester. As far as I'm concerned, you can burn it with fire. I don't care. But, be warned, I am using a script to look up to see if your page is where it should be. And if it's not, I'm going to tell you to put it where it belongs. And you will have 1 week to do so, or else I will not give you any grades. So it's important that your submission be located in the correct place. The correct place is inside of your home directory. Navigate to public_HTML /private /10259 /lowercase a 1. And that's where you put it. Okay? It is important that this be a lowercase a. It is important that this be the right number. It is important that you put it in the private directory. Why is it important that you put it in the private directory? Sorry, you guys are taking pictures. Anybody? What's the private folder do? What's the private folder do? Anybody?
Secure.
It makes it so it's yes? It makes it password protected. If you put your assignment submission in the public area of your web server, this is a publicly available real web server. Other students can go grab your submissions, copy it, cheat off of you, and I have to do you both for plagiarism. Because if you don't put it here, you have not sufficiently protected your work from theft. You have been negligent, and therefore you can arrive with a plagiarism charge. Here's another fun way people get plagiarism charges without intending to. Leaving their work lying around on lab computers. Right? Don't leave your work lying around on lab computers. Do not save things to the local hard drive unless you intend that to be shared with everybody. This is particularly a problem in server side for reasons I'll get into. Hopefully I won't have to get into because we won't be using XAMPP. But if ever you have to use the program XAMPP, understand that on these lab computers, everything you put into that is shared by any user who logs in. All right? And I cannot guarantee, because this is stinky Windows, that that's not true in other cases as well. Okay? Good. Any questions about assignment 1? There should be one important question. When is it due? Oh, and the rubric is here. The due date for assignment 1 is this Sunday. Now, I must ask a question. Do you feel you can get that done by Sunday? So-so?
Pretty tight.
Pretty tight, yeah. Okay, alright. This section is behind by a week, right? So, it makes sense that the due dates are also behind by a week until such time as we can harmonize the two classes. There's like a flex week in the middle that will probably bring things back in line, but all right. It's kind of a pain in the keister. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to take this whole section and like, well, maybe they'll let me do it easily. Anyway, I'll fix the deadline. We'll make that 1 week from the original deadline. All right. So for this section, the deadline will be February 8th. Fair enough? 2 weeks to work on it? Okay. I expect some nice websites, okay? I don't want any laziness. I'm mostly grading for not being lazy on this one, okay? All right. Sounds good. Any other questions? Is my camera running? Yes.
Is that it for today?
Sorry?
Is that it for today?
Oh, heck no.
Oh, okay.
Frig, man. What, do you think I'm someone else? I always use my time. It's because I'm so long-winded. No, we're going to do some JavaScript now. JavaScript. I mean, yeah, I was just talking about how this class is behind, right? So, we don't have any time to lose. All right. So this is the part where we talk about JavaScript. All right? Introductory remarks. When it comes to web development, at least stuff that runs in a browser, JavaScript is the only game in town. TypeScript is challenging this, but even TypeScript is eventually compiled to JavaScript. So, JavaScript is the only scripting language that runs natively in the browser. It is a notoriously difficult language. It is a bad language. JavaScript hates you. Okay? It's not kind to you. JavaScript doesn't like you. Alright? JavaScript is not your friend. The reason I say this, its type system really sucks. And it makes it difficult to write programs that are correct. So, let's go through. We will discuss some of the differences between JavaScript and particularly Java. I'm going to focus on Java. JavaScript is a bit more like Python, but even Python has a better type system than JavaScript does. So, JavaScript is imperative and object-oriented. In this, it is very similar to literally every other language that you've ever used. This is to say almost nothing. You write procedures in JavaScript, and it supports classes and objects. JavaScript has C-like syntax. This means that it more closely resembles Java than Python. It has curly braces. But of course, even Python is considered a C-based language. So, again, saying something is C-like is almost to say almost nothing. C is kind of like Latin for Romance languages, right? Like C for other programming languages is like Latin's relationship to Romance languages. Variable names do not need a $sign. That's Bash and PHP. I'm not sure why we're talking about that. The plus sign is used for both addition and concatenation, similarly to JavaScript. Similarly to Java. The dot character is used for accessing properties and methods, same as in Java. Strings can use single or double quotes. Is this true in Java?
No,
Why?
because the char is single quote, and the other one, the string is double. It has to be double in string.
Very good. Double quotes are for strings, single quotes are for characters. In JavaScript, we're kind of in Python land, where both are used for strings, and the language pretends that characters don't exist, right? JavaScript is pretending that characters don't exist. It's using single quotes to do that. Incidentally, you'll see single quotes used more frequently than double quotes in languages like this. Anybody have any idea why? Fewer keystrokes. That's it. Yeah, that's the reason.
Fewer what?
Keystrokes. In order to type a single quote, you just have the button, whereas with double quote, you have to hold shift. So it's faster to type a single quote. Yep. Programmers, what can you say? So, semicolons are optional in JavaScript in most cases, but strongly recommended. Semicolon should be thought of as a statement termination operator. or a statement separator? Okay. Dynamic typing. Can anybody tell me what it means for a language to be dynamically typed? Doesn't actually say on the slide, right? Yes.
Is it that it reads a line to line to line?
No, actually that has to do with it being an interpreted language, feeding one line at a time into an interpreter. Now it's dynamically typed, it can only be dynamic typing can only exist in languages which read programs that way, right? So the set of dynamically typed languages is, has like, if you're statically typed, you're probably a compiler. If you're dynamically typed, you're probably an interpreter, right? But that's not quite what dynamic typing means. All right. Question. Is that legal in Java?
No.
No. Is that legal in Python?
Yes.
Yes.
That's dynamic typing,
Oh.
right? Dynamic typing means the types of things can change as the program is executed. Dynamically typed languages also tend to not require you to declare the types for arguments to functions and the return types from functions. Question?
So for the semicolons, does the JavaScript automatically puts it at the end of the line?
No. Maybe you have an editor that does that, but that's
No, I mean, it reads it as a, like if I didn't put it in, the JavaScript like automatically puts, like doesn't physically put it in, but as it reads it, right?
I understand your question. So in JavaScript, if you have a semicolon, that is taken to be the end of a statement.
Yeah.
Technically, you could put another statement here.
Yep.
If the semicolon is missing, it will take the new line at the end of the line, which indicates that the next thing is on the next line. It will take that as the statement terminator.
Yeah, so it's recommended to put for a semicolons.
It's recommended to put semicolons, yes, because not putting semicolons is a bad habit that you'll hate yourself for in Java.
Because if you like compress the file, it will be a mess, right?
That's the other thing, yes. You guys want to see what jQuery looks like? This is kind of an interesting little thing. So jQuery is a JavaScript framework. It's interesting. It's just a file. It's just a file. Download. Download. Woo! This one needs semicolons. So, yeah, semicolon. Boop. So, you know why they did this?
Yeah.
To reduce the file size,
Yep.
right? Because this gets sent over the internet quite a lot, and you know, if you reduce the file size, then it doesn't take as long to get through the network, and it doesn't occupy as many network resources. So yeah, that's the attempt, is to take JavaScript and like nail it down to as little actual, like as small a file size as humanly possible, without encrypting it. The next step to this would be like to do, well, not encryption, compression. You'd have to do some kind of compression. Yeah. Pretty good, eh? Don't worry, you don't have to write this. But all of this is legal JavaScript. Yeah, this is all legal JavaScript. This compiles. Sorry?
Just because it's legal doesn't make it okay.
That's right. It's a good principle for life, actually. You know, just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? So,
Computers can scream, that's how they do it.
scream with the mouths they don't have, right? So, where are we here? Yes. So, dynamically typed language. You can reassign types for things. When you declare things like functions, it's not going to require you to declare a return type or the types for arguments. Unlike Java, which gets extremely persnickety about it. So far so good. Let's talk about weak typing. So, and I'm gonna open up Pandora's box for you right here. We're going to see just how horrifying JavaScript can be. All right. We're going to explore the gong show of a language that is JavaScript. So, JavaScript is a weakly typed language. This means the default equality operator will attempt to perform type conversions before it determines equality. In JavaScript, it's very fun. You can always play with JavaScript by opening up your console. There we go, console. Console.log. Hello, world. There you go. Did I explain what the undefined means? It's a little curious, right? Why is it saying undefined? Yeah.
Maybe because there's no defined term for console.log, maybe because there aren't any quotation marks on the hello world below it.
Nope. This is gonna bake your noodle.
What?
This is going to cause brain anxiety.
I've never heard anyone say that. Bake your doodle.
Oh. Really?
No one, not even my parents say that.
Oh wow. Because like if you look at the human brain, it does kind of look like a big clump of noodles. So bake your noodle. Anyway, undefined. You got this? Get this, guys? Undefined is the return type of console.log. That's its return value. Did you just get a shiver down your spine? Because you should have. Anytime you enter anything into the console, it takes like whatever value here is the evaluated result and it echoes it, right? So for example, if I enter 4, it tells me 4. The return value of 4 is 4. Okay, so far so good. The return value of 5 plus 5 is 10. Okay, we can evaluate expressions. Very good. The return value of console.log is undefined because the function doesn't return anything. So we don't have a void type, we have a void literal. Void has a value, and that value is undefined. Welcome to JavaScript. So, back to weak equality. Weak equality allows you to do things like this. 5 is equal to 5. Does this fly in Java? No, this would not be true. We are performing implicit type conversion in order to evaluate whether 5, the number, is equal to 5, the string. Oh, and by the way, yeah, and it is, but guess what? You know ints and floats? Right? The data types? Yeah. JavaScript doesn't have them. It has one type for both integers and floats, which it calls number. It has one type for integers and floats called number. Now I ask you, is number a supported operation type in the CPU? No. So, you're dealing with a language that has such a low opinion of your intelligence that you can't even handle the idea of a floating point number. It has to hide that from you. All right? JavaScript hates you. Okay? It's not your friend. So, here's a fun one for you. All right? Weak equality. It's not like it violates fundamental laws of logic. All right? Now, I don't mean to brag or anything, but I happen to be a logician. You know, I did a PhD in logic and stuff, so I know a little bit about logic. All right? This should not be true for any equality operation worth the name. Watch this. This is fun. This is one of my favorite things. Well, actually, we get both. But let's start with this one. You guys can see this at the back, right? A little bit bigger? Okay. Better? Okay. Zero is equal to the string 0. Yes. Here's another one for you. Zero is equal to the empty string.
0 string.
It's equal to both of these. Yes.
Would 2 the number be equal to the string 1 plus 1?
That's a good question.
Oh no.
No.
Okay.
But is 1 plus 1 equal to the string 2? Yes.
But 1 plus okay.
Right? So, but back to this one, right? I can actually explain this. And it does, like, here's the thing, right? In JavaScript, there's always some form of Byzantine logic behind every decision that it makes, which is true. Like, did you know that empty strings aren't actually empty? All strings that you think are empty strings actually contain one character. The null character. Because of the way that the C standard library was written, all strings are null terminated. So every string you've ever used actually has one more character than you thought it did, and that's the null character. Hello/null. That's how strings are actually represented. Now, this is important in the C standard library because C is a language that is not capable of checking the bounds on arrays. So it doesn't know when it's reached the end of a string. If you asked it to print a string and there was no null character, it would continue reading the string all the way into unused memory until it runs out of memory, and then it results in a segmentation fault. Or it would actually end on the first 0 in memory that it finds, like pure 0, because the ASCII value, the value in memory for the null character, is 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? So, it is kind of true that 0 is equal to the empty string. The empty string contains the ASCII value 0 that is technically equal to 0, right? But, because 0 is equal to this and 0 is equal to that, we should expect that this guy is equal to that guy, right? We should expect that the string 0 is then equal to the empty string, which is false. Fundamental law of logic, known as the transitive property. If A is equal to B and B is equal to C, you should therefore be able to conclude then A is equal to C. Logic. Weak equality breaks fundamental logic. QED. QED is a thing that mathematicians put at the end of mathematical proofs. It's Latin for a quod erat demonstratum, but it also means quite easily done. Ha ha ha. So yeah, dynamic typing and weak typing are different. This is weak typing. Weak typing. So weak. You want strong typing, right? So, how do you fix JavaScript's horrible weak type system? You're gonna love this, folks. You add an extra equals sign. Yep. JavaScript has a strict equality operator, triple equals. This thing is the equivalent to Java's double equals, not that one. I can see some people in the crowd face palming. That is the correct reaction.
Doesn't the double equals sometimes a sign? Or am I crazy? Because I remember.
Sorry, can you speak up? You got like that thing behind you is really loud.
I remember one time I was trying to do something in JavaScript and I used the double instead of the triple. And for some reason, when I searched up the answer, it said, "Oh yeah, you actually assigned it something." And I was like, "Well, you mean you assigned it something? That's not how that works."
I mean, no, assignment just uses one equal sign.
I know, which
Yeah.
is why I was so confused.
It's very strange, yeah. Although, you want to see some funny stuff to do with assignment?
Oh boy.
So assignment is one equals sign, right? Let me ask you if you think this should be possible. Let's say I have x is equal to y is equal to 10. Should I be able to do that? Does this look a little cursed to you?
I mean, technically.
So, that phrase, I mean technically ... is like a perfect description of JavaScript, right?
No, because you did declare y and what it is equal to. Therefore, if you enter in y, it does kind of make sense that you get 10 as a result.
Yeah, well, so the rule is the assignment operator returns the assigned value. All right, so in here, I'm assigning 10 to the variable y. The return result of the bit in the braces, the thing that gets substituted for in the expression, is 10. I then go on to evaluate x is equal to 10, or x is assigned 10. As a result of that, both x and y are given the value 10. Is this legal in Java? No, this is nonsense. Even in JavaScript, that's nonsense. But JavaScript is a nonsense language. Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Okay. Going a little further down the JavaScript is terrible route, okay? This will only be a brief digression. So, there's lots of weird things you can do with JavaScript's implicit type conversions. So, that's an empty array, right? Not an empty array is false. Not an empty array is true.
So an empty array is true?
Well, let's see. No.
What makes an empty array true or false to begin with?
It means like if you apply the not operator to an empty array, it produces false, and once you have false, you can make it true, right? Is this the one? Yeah, there you go.
Why is it true?
Two truths make a two. Yes.
Is it because of how it's stored in the memory? It's stored as like a 1 or a 0, and so when you do not empty array plus not empty array, you're technically doing 1 plus 1.
All of those would evaluate to trues, right?
Yeah.
So the question is,
So is 1 equal to
true plus true is 2.
True.
That is 2 true, right?
Okay, so yeah, true and false are equal.
Right? And this is true generally because like the way that true and false values are evaluated by the CPU is actually true is any non-zero value and false is 0.
Okay.
But 1 is the normal default for true, right? Now, interestingly, in the C programming language, Booleans proper weren't introduced until 1999. They weren't added to the standard. And C has existed since the 60s. So what were they doing for 40 years?
1 or 0.
They were using 1 and 0 for Booleans. Yeah, there you go, right? In fact, you can kind of tell, like in the C standard library, it's like, really? Really? All these newfangled languages with their true and false values, you want us to put that in? It's like, yes, C, it's 1997. It's the future now. We need, true and false literals. It's like, I'm not even going to put them in properly. I'm just going to make them define statements in the library and not tell you that. But yeah, so this is an interesting and curious little sub-language within JavaScript. I cannot say the name. Please, this is going to be a tricky Google, okay? Just, hide your eyes for a moment. There you go. So, it turns out that any JavaScript statement whatsoever can be expressed using only 6 of the symbols in JavaScript. I showed you like a few of them. Yes. Sorry? Oh, zoom in. Yeah. So, yeah. If you want alert hello world, for example, this is a very handy thing that'll encode things for you in this craziness. Here, I'll show you. Inspect console. Watch this. It works. But again, this is another fantastic exercise in sure you can, but that doesn't mean you should, right? But yeah, JavaScript's a really funny language. Like Java just points and laughs at JavaScript, you know? Like, this is the reason TypeScript came into existence, you know? Because like, if you can do this, I guarantee you can fall into all kinds of typing-related traps when programming it. Yes?
So, does this mean that for our assignments we can write the script, put it into there, and then put that in the files?
Yes.
In all lines?
And it'll work. You won't get any points for documentation though. Like the lines come out really long, right? But yeah, I don't recommend it, but it is possible.
Professor,
Yes.
what if we try empty array plus empty array?
Good question. Oh. Empty string.
How? Why?
Listen, you are asking for reason in the realms of madness. All right? There is no rhyme or reason to JavaScript. All right?
I feel like I really understand when you said like JavaScript to Java is like cars to cars.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, when I said Java is to JavaScript as car is to carpet, this is partially what I'm talking about. Right? So the language hates you. All right? There's no rhyme or reason. Right? Okay, that's enough of that though. But yeah, so how do you program in a hostile environment? Is the question. You know, it's not quite as bad as like being on the moon, but like we're kind of like parachuting you into the middle of the Sahara or something here, right? How do you survive? Pretend that this is Java. Okay? As far as it's possible, just program like this is Java. All right? It's not going to give you help with types, but that doesn't mean that the variables don't have types. They do have types. It's just up to you to keep track of them. My advice, if you're you know, getting started in JavaScript, put what the data type should be as part of the variable name, right? That's like helpful. So instead of just x, if you put x_int, it's like, yeah, that's supposed to be an integer. That way when you read that, it's like, oh, that's an integer, right? So you won't make mistakes about what types things are, right? That's one piece of good advice. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that you shouldn't. The assignment thing is a great example. If Java wouldn't let you do it, don't do it here, and you'll get yourself into fewer problems. All right? Make sense? Okay. But yeah, basically, like, that's my advice for programming JavaScript is like, just try to like perform the double think. To imagine that you're programming in Java when you're actually programming in JavaScript, and you'll have a much easier time with it. Okay? All right.
Professor?
Yes.
Are all types in Java variables are the same in JavaScript?
Not quite. Let's talk about types. Where are we here? Yeah. Okay. here are your types. You have booleans, thank goodness, number, refer to previous comments, string, object, null, and undefined. So we actually have two different data types for two different sorts of void values. In fact, in JavaScript, you have a collection of about 4 void literals, depending on how you count them. They're all used in different situations. So we've seen undefined. Undefined is a value that you get, for example, when a function returns but it doesn't have a return value. Null means very similar things to undefined but is used in different contexts. NaN, not delicious bread. That would have another A. Yes?
Not a number?
Not a number. That's right. When you're performing a numeric operation on something that's not a number, in some circumstances, it gives you not a number. So for example, 3 plus potato gives you that. But how does it work? Is it potato plus 3? No. How does it work again? Oh yeah, like subtract 3. There you go. Potato subtract 3 is not a number. So what is it? What is the purpose of not a number?
Simplification of error messages?
Yeah, it's doing this instead of giving you an error message. Just consider that for a moment. A language that likes you gives you an error message when you do nonsense like that. A language that hates you drops a frigging error literal into your code that will continue on and be executed by things. That does not stop the calculation. That continues. All right? I'm going to throw this into the category as well, but JavaScript also has an infinity literal, which is kind of similar to not a number. You know? It behaves a little similarly, but like infinity, right, is infinity. Infinity plus 1 is infinity, right? Well, I hate you infinity plus 2 times. Infinity plus 2 is still infinity, you dork. Right? Make sense? Good grief. Okay. We don't have much time in class, so I'll show you something fun. Okay? Are you guys familiar with the game Cookie Clicker?
I am.
You guys know that thing's written in JavaScript?
Oh no.
At least the web version is. So let me ask you a question. How many wasted hours? How many wasted hours on Cookie Clicker? You don't have to answer that question. It was a rhetorical question. Look, they even know you're about to cheat. Game.cookies is equal to infinity. I now have infinity cookies. I still have infinity cookies. See? Oh look, am I breaking the game? Am I getting all the way? By the way, spoilers for Cookie Clicker. Yeah, I've got infinity cookies. Boom. Click, 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 click. So basically, cookie clicker transforms into, how quick can you click the cookie to how quick can you click the menu, right? There you go. That's how you break cookie clicker. Any questions? No? Are you glad you stuck around for the remaining hour of class? So, takeaways from this lesson. Bootstrap is fun and useful. JavaScript hates you. Be careful of numbers because the numbers bite back. Have a good day.
Professor,
Yeah.
can I show you something?
Sure.